All right. Okay. So I will just open up my document. Okay. Here, this is a very simple if else. There is simple conditional statement is what I'm trying to show you here. How do you write conditional statements in Java? You absolutely need to understand that. And that's the reason why I have if else and nested if else statements. Okay. So you can easily see that it's a very simple if else statement, meaning I'm just saying if A is greater than B, then you want to run this particular command. Else if B is greater than C, then you want to run another command, or else you want to run another command. So basically you have to understand something very clearly in case of if else, that is, if only the if section can work on its own, you don't need to have a else. I want to make this very clear to you because people, even after understanding what is if else, they don't know really how to use it properly. So I'm just saying if can stay alone on its own, meaning I can say if check the condition, and if that is true, then perform action, right? That's what happens only with the if. It doesn't need to have a else along with it. Else is only the section where you will add the else part. You will only add the else part if you need a specific action to be performed for a else case. Also, you have to understand you cannot write a condition just with the else, like you can do it with if, right? Also, there is this another situation where you can write a nested if else, and that is what I'm trying to show you here. You can say if, and then check condition, right? Else if, you can say else if, check another condition. Hold on. Okay. Let me just write it. I think just a minute. Where did it go? Okay. So you can simply do this. You can say if check condition, right? And you want to perform some action within this section, this particular scope, perform action. And then you can say else if, and check another condition. And there you want to perform another set of action, perform another action, right? Perform another action, and that's how you can write a nested if else if you have a requirement like so. Okay, that's how your if else works. I want to get a confirmation if everybody clearly understands how to write a if else or not. Let me just talk about Shoef.
Yes, got it.
Okay.
So it's not necessary to have else if you have only two conditions to prove. So you'll just do check if and else.
Yeah.
Else if is if you have additional condition.
Yes, that is correct. And you can just keep only the if section on its own,
Okay.
right? So, for example, I can give you a quick little example here, saying I say int a equals 25 int b equals 35. I say if a less than b, say hi, sys out hi, and here, can you just tell me this? Come on. And then over here, I say syso get out, right? Can you just tell me quickly what will be the output of this particular program? I can probably ask, I don't know, maybe Satish. Do you want to try that? What will be the output of this program? Satish, are you there? It's okay if it's not right. That's okay. Can you tell me what will be the answer to this program? Sure, if you want to try.
Yeah, it's high. The sys out high will be printed.
Okay. Kevin, what will be the output? Kevin, what will be the output? Kevin was here right now. Yeah, I don't see him again. Anyways, who else can give me the answer? Omotola, what will be the output?
The only thing I didn't quite catch when you wrote sys out, get in bracket get out. Is that a class?
No. It's a short form of system.out.println.
Hi, Savik Satish here. I think
Yeah.
it will both hi and get out.
It will be
Yeah.
because A is less than B, so it will just print out high.
And
But
then
the bottom line at the very bottom that you wrote sys out and then
yeah.
in bracket get
Yeah.
dot and space out.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you have in bracket get space
Oh,
out.
okay. I'm not writing the program. I'm just giving a pseudocode. I'm just giving you a pseudocode. It's not the actual program. Sys out mean.
Yes, I got that.
Yeah. So sys out mean system.out.println, right? So I'm just asking you, what will be the output of this program? So Satish rightly said, it will print out both this one and this one.
Ah, okay. Yeah, now I understand the question.
Okay. Right? It will print out both this one and this one. Shoaib, I think you can understand why it will print out both of it, right?
Yes.
Because obviously for the if statement, it will run through the if block. And once the if block is done, this will be executed anyways, right?
True.
That's it. Okay. So that is where you need to understand your if else condition. And I will just quickly move out of this. Let's go to the next part, which is switch case. Switch case is again another way of using conditional statement, but it is not exactly how it works with if else. Okay. In switch case, things are pretty simple and straightforward, meaning that, for example, here I'm just trying to show you that I have a job title called as software engineer, and I'm trying to perform an action if the job title matches to the value which is presented using job title. That's it. So I'm saying if it is software engineer, then I want to perform the step here saying I'm a software engineer. I want to print out this. So meaning there's a difference between switch case and if else. In if else, you are kind of in if else you are kind of evaluating multiple conditions, right? You can say if check condition, right? Condition one, and you can even perform check condition two, check condition two. You can do that with if else. However, with switch case, you don't have that option at all. You are kind of saying, as soon as I'm getting the right match, I want to quickly jump into the respective case, and whatever is there to perform, I will perform it. For example, just in here, I'm saying that the value over here is software engineer. So immediately in the switch condition, switch situation, it will check whether job title is equal to software engineer or not. If it is, it will immediately jump to this particular case. Once it is in this particular case, it will just print out this particular statement. I'm a software engineer, and I will perform this keyword here. I will add this keyword here called break, which will break out of this entire scope. It will not be checking any other case. Again, one more time. If I am saying that the job title is carpenter, then what happens? It will be evaluated. The value of job title will be evaluated against the switch section. And if I am carpenter, then I will be directly jumping to the case carpenter. And then I will be printing out I am a carpenter, and I will be breaking out of this entire scope. On the other hand, if I want to write the same section or the same situation with if else, I would have done something like this. I would say if job title dot equals, okay, equals say software engineer. I'm just giving short stuff. Software engineer. Then I want to perform sysout SE, right? Else, if job title,
Sorry, Sovik, I think your headphone or speaker is making a bit of noise, so we
is
can't hear you clearly.
it for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
but it stopped.
Oh, okay. Let me just quickly. What will I do? I will just restart my headset, and then I'll give it a try again. Okay. Just a minute. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Now it's clear, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm saying is that in the switch case, I just showed you how it is getting evaluated. It checks one value at a time, and then it jumps immediately to the respective case. If I want to create a similar kind of a situation with, for example, where is my, okay.
I was saying if job title JT dot equals software engineer, then I want to perform an action. Okay, so sysout SYSOSE. Okay, else if it is carpenter, okay, then I want to sysout carpenter, right? Carpenter. Now, the difference between if else and switch case is this. As I was saying, if the value of job title is carpenter, it will directly switch from the switch statement to the case, to the respective case. On the other hand, when it is if else, every condition will be evaluated, meaning it will first check whether job title is equals to carpenter or not. If it is not, it will go to the else block. Now it says it is carpenter, only then it will execute this. If I have 10 different conditions, it will evaluate each and every one of them unless it finds the match. On the other hand, with the switch case, it will directly jump from here to here and then perform the action. That's the difference between switch case and if else. Also, in if else, you can add multiple conditions to check. In switch case, you don't have that option. You are kind of evaluating, just your case, one case at a time. Is that clear to everyone?
Yeah. Quick question.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, mate.
Just a quick question, Civic. So see the way you have in the switch statement, converting it to lowercase. So would
Yeah.
all the cases actually need to be in lowercase for those
That
to...
is right. That is right. It is a typo. You're
Okay.
absolutely right. It's a typo.
No worries.
Okay. So I will quickly go to the next one. If you guys are
Sorry, Souvik. So what we're saying is that the difference is that in if else, it will check the condition to validate what the job title is in if else statement, whereas in switch case, it will do the validation in the first place, and it will just jump directly to that case where it says the job title, if the whatever is the job title, when it matches.
That is correct. That is absolutely right. In the if else, you have to also understand that it's an if else. If the first condition didn't match, then it will go to the immediate else if block to check if there is another condition to be evaluated. If it is true, then it will go inside the scope and perform the action. If not, then it will try with another if else block, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it is. It checks one at a time.
Yeah.
Good.
When the switch cases or the switch statement is running, Civic, does it start with the first case, check
Yeah.
it first, then go to the second one until
No,
it finds
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It
Right.
doesn't. I'll just show it to you. For example, let
I
me
understand it, but I'm just wondering how it evaluates, how it checks it, how does it know to go to a particular case?
probably I'm not really sure how does it do that, but probably it kind of stores in the memory all the cases already in hand, and then it quickly understands that, okay, this case is in this particular line, so let me just jump under that particular case.
Like,
When the switch statement gets loaded, when the switch statement gets loaded into the JVM, it kind of understands that what are the cases already in place, right?
Well, that's all I needed to know. So no need. As long I was just wondering that it
Okay.
jumped to the right one. That's perfect.
Right.
Thanks.
Right, perfect, great, all right, awesome. So now let's go on. Let's talk about access specifier. It's a very, very important stuff that you have to understand because we are using access specifier everywhere. Okay. So basically, access specifier helps us to provide access to any component in Java, right? So everywhere you have seen so far that I'm writing, everywhere I'm writing public. Okay. You see public. Also, you see public. What do I ideally mean by this keyword called as public? Public means that any element that has public access, anyone can access that particular component, whether it is from the project or it is outside of the project. For example, I can just show you something. In the week 2 summary, I was talking about some students class. The students class is having the access specifier as public, and it had these different properties like start class and end class, right? So this entire project, the student class, is a public class, as you can see that. Now, what I'm saying here is that public, anyone that is having a public access can be accessed within the project or even outside of the project. What do I mean by that? If you remember, I think I have told you, how can you export your jar files from your project? Okay. So for example, week 2 summary, in this week 2 summary project, I can see that there is a class called a students class. Perfectly fine. What I will do is I will quickly right click on this. I'll go to properties. I'll go to, sorry, export, right? In the export, I go and I say, I want to export this project as a jar file, right? I'll say jar file. Let's go inside the wizard and I'm selecting week 2. That's what I want to export. That's perfectly fine. And I will just say export all generated classes. And in the desktop under wisdom QA, I'll say week 2 jar. That's it. And I will say finish. Now, this project got exported as a jar file. Now, this jar file is completely different, or this project is entirely different than week 3 summary project, right? Now, what I can do is I can eventually import that jar file into the week 3 summary project, just like that. I'd say import general, not this, not this. I'll go for import existing project. No, sorry, hold on.
You can put that in via the build path.
My bad, my bad, my bad, my bad. I'll get it done in the Java build path, right? And if you go to the Java build path under the class path, you can say add external jars, and you can look for the add external jars in the C drive, in my, not C drive, sorry, desktop. And then I have wisdom QA, and then I have week 2, the one that I just got created a minute back. So I'll just say, okay. And that week 2 guy got added to week 3 project. And I say apply and close. Now by doing this, I actually imported the entire week 2 project inside week 3 project. And how can I access the components? Very simple. So you just go there in the test selenium, or yeah, let me just open this particular file. That's fine. In this file, I can just go ahead and just say students, student equals equal new students. And I am getting an error because I am asked to now import it. The students class is nowhere there in week 3 project, nowhere, right? But still I'm able to access students class. Why? Because students class is a public class, as I showed you earlier. So any component that you are that you have as public can be accessed within the project or outside of the project, and that's what this proves. That's number 1. Okay, let's quickly go to the next one, which is private. What do you mean by that? So I will quickly create a new file here, new class, and let's say cars. All right, and no main method, just the cars package, cars class. In the car class, I'm having some attributes like private, I'll say string brand, private string model, correct? I got this too, guys. Perfectly fine. These guys are private. I am having a method called as public void print info. As a part of print info, all I want to do is I'll say sys out, and I want to just print out brand, and after this, I'm gonna say the model. Simple. That's what this guy does. So what exactly is happening here is this private entities are never accessible beyond this particular class. So these guys that I have created, these attributes are only accessible within the other class members. I told you earlier, what are the class members? We have variables, we have constructors, we have methods. These are my class members. So private variables or private values or private entities can be only accessible within the class by its members. So if I just create an object over here saying cars, car equal new cars, and I just say car dot, with the dot operator I can access the elements, right? You can clearly see I don't have the option to access any of the attributes. However, I can just call this method, it's print info typo, right? I can definitely call that, but not anything that is private. Very simple to understand. Another thing that I would like to tell you is default access specifier. Okay, so any component, any attribute, or any class member who has nothing as an access specifier specified, meaning if I say float or double or maybe int seats, right? Int seats. I'll just say it's 0 for now, right? And I'm just going to say I want to print the value as well. And I will say plus seats, right? Now, obviously, this variable is within this particular class. Obviously, this method will have access to the variable. Why? Because I have clearly told you guys earlier, whatever you define in the global space or the global scope, this is the global scope or global scope or global space for this class, right? So whatever you are defining in this particular section of the class is kind of accessible to any class members. That's the global space. Anything that you put in on the top of the class can be accessible by any below methods or constructors whatsoever, right? Now, obviously, seats can be accessible via this method, no problem at all. And if I take you back to the actual class, the test selenium class, in this class, I can say car dot. I can also access seats because it is not private. It is not private, it is default. I can definitely access it and I can give some value here saying maybe 5, right? And I can say car dot info. By the way, if I want to just quickly refactor this, it's a very simple way to refactor the variables or I mean methods. You can go there. This is my method here. Right click on this and say refactor rename. How does it help? If you are refactoring and renaming, then whichever places in the whole project you have used this method name, everywhere the method name will be updated. Like if I'm doing this as print info and hit enter, everywhere in the project, wherever that method got used, everyone will be updated. For example, look at this guy now. It is changed to print info. Okay, so always whenever you want to rename something, always go for refactor rename. Okay, otherwise it'll be a huge problem for you to track it down. Anyways, so now if I just go ahead, I was able to access seats variable, which is a default variable, and I can definitely run my program, no problem at all. However, there is a catch. The catch is, if I have another package, say some package, okay, that's the name of the package, some package, perfectly fine. Now, if I am moving any of this class to the other package, just like that, you will immediately see the error saying cars.seat is not visible or accessible. So what exactly is the bottom line? The bottom line is, if your member, whether it's a variable or a method, is a default, is having default access, then it is only accessible within the same package. That's the end of the story. If you are trying to access any variable outside of the package, you will not be able to do that. As simple as that. This is only going to happen in terms of default. All right. Now there is another type of access modifier. So we have just covered 3 of them: public, private, and default. There's another one which is called protected. But to understand protected, you got to know about inheritance. And I will cover that. But just tell me something. Everybody is clear with the 3 access specifier? Yes, no. Give me a shot, please. Yes, no. All right. Okay, good stuff. Now that we understand this part, what I'll do is I'll quickly go to the other section, which is my document. All right. Now I'll talk about the
Sorry,
protected.
Souvik, one quick question. Since you've used the private members as a in class, you've used every member of the class as a private, so you can't even export this as a jar file and can use in another projects.
No, I can definitely. So you're not exporting a class. You're exporting the entire project, right?
Mm-hmm.
So meaning, if I want to export, let me just do one thing. I'll bring it back here, right? Now, if I want to export this entire project, I can definitely do that. Okay, I can definitely do that. There is no problem at all. And I can put this project, or I can import this project into another project, and there is no problem. However, I cannot access these variables even then. I will
Yep.
only be able to access the class and its public member, which is print info, not anything that is private. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
Suvek.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one thing I don't get though is that when you say private string brand, you're not actually putting like the value of a brand like Ford or VW. You're just saying it's just the label, the brand.
Yeah, so
So
I'm supposed to, yeah, so I didn't complete this program. I'm just trying to show you the how the variables are working. I
yeah,
didn't.
so all I'm trying to say is, in this example you've given, just limiting it to just this example, why bother with saying that the brand has to be private? You know, the VW or the Audi, those you would want to say, oh, they're private. But title, you know, it's only a title is what I'm saying. Why are we so...
Because you don't want to expose, okay, the point is you don't want to expose All right. These are the variables, right? What does the variable do? Can you tell me that? What does the variable?
The variable is of type string.
No, one question, just one question. What does the variable do? What is the requirement of variable?
It produces a hash memory where the values will be
Oh my God,
stored.
no, Kevin, no, Kevin. Simple English. What does the variable do? It stores value, right?
Yes, yeah. It
That's,
stores value. Yeah,
it
that's
stores value. That's it, right? So
it.
you don't want to use a variable which is exposed, meaning if I want to make it public, if I want to make this guy public,
No, I'm with you.
if you want to make this public, then anybody like you and me can go ahead and say car dot brand, and then they will simply change it. So I say model, right? I mean, I say maybe Mazda.
Yeah, with you.
I can change the value. I don't want to change the value, meaning I'm creating, I am again coming back to the same discussion that we had last Saturday, where I said you have JVM. In the JVM, you are creating multiple clones of an entity or a blueprint. The blueprint in this case is car, and you can create a Audi object. You can create a Mercedes object. You can create a Mazda object. When I'm saying it's a Mazda object, it must store information about Mazda, and you don't want any way that that information will be overwritten.
With you.
Meaning, when you're creating the object of Mazda, you want to store the information and you want to process that information further, but you don't want to get that information overwritten by something else. That's the reason why it is absolutely necessary for you to keep the variables as private, and then use something other concepts like constructor to fill in the values within that and then process that information further. But you don't want to keep them public, especially your variables never. Is that making sense?
Yeah, that's wicked. That's brilliant. One quick thing, you when you did the import export, you had to go into build part. What did you do there? Because I get the same thing sometimes where I'm
you have to, for example, I was importing week 2 summary to week 3 summary. So I had to go to properties and go to Java build path. Under the class path section, I imported that jar file, which I exported out of week 2 summary project, so that the week 2 summary project can be imported in week 3 summary project.
Gotcha.
Souvik, can I just stop you there and ask a question based on this library?
Yep.
Okay, so I was trying to do something. I was trying to download the add the external Selenium jar file.
Right.
And I was putting it in the module path, but I asked Gagan and he sort of helped me out and put that in class path. But I didn't really understand what's the difference and why I wasn't able to execute a Selenium program.
Because you need to put that in the class path, as Gagan said. It's the right thing. You have to put it in the class path. So module path, as far as I'm understanding this, these are your internal libraries which are coming out of your project generation. So GRE is your internal library. This guy, which is coming out of an external entity, is your external library, which is what you have to add into the class path section so that you can use the classes on its own.
Okay.
Into your project. Yeah.
So every time I create a new project, I would have to add external jar file.
That is right,
unless
until unless you learn about something called as Maven. Maven is a build management tool, and I will talk about that in details in the advanced project, obviously. But for now, until we reach there, you have the only option to add the jar file manually to the class path. Later on, things will be automated, completely automated.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
good. So now I'll just quickly head back to the other part, which is Java methods. I have given you guys understanding of what is a method. Method is just one thing. That is, if you ever feel that the code that you're writing, something can be reused in future, if you ever feel that, right, you must be putting that under a method. The reason for that is just one thing, that is you don't want to go ahead and say, I mean, there is something called as a principle called as do not repeat yourself. You don't want to rewrite that piece of code over and over and over again. You don't want to do that. You just want to create a simple method block. Okay, I will say it as a method block. For example, these guys, it's a method block, and these method blocks are performing certain action. So whenever you call the method block, it will perform that action for you over and over and over again, how many ever time you call it. That is a method, because you don't want to write these lines every time you want to execute it, or you want to perform the similar operation. That'll be stupid. You just have to create a method and then just call it. How do you call it? Just like that. You see, just give a number, just give the method name, and add in this parameters. Okay, so you can see there's a difference. There's a difference, that is, in this particular case, in the first case, the parameter or this particular brackets are kind of empty. It's an empty bracket. However, in this case, there are two different values that are going in. Why it is? Because this method doesn't require any parameter to execute, right? On the other hand, this method needs two parameters. How did I specify that? Just look at it. This is the method name, add two numbers by arguments, and I have parameter 1 and parameter 2, and I'm just adding them just there. You can see a plus b, and I'm adding them, right? So it is a parameterized method. However, this guy is not a parameterized method, meaning what? Meaning this method is not a dynamic method, meaning this method can only perform one operation over and over again, how many ever times you call it. How many ever time you call it, it will it will always give you the same result. However, this method over here will produce different results depending on whatever the value you send it as a parameter. Here I'm saying 2030, you can say 3040 or 5060, whatever. Correct? That's how the methods are different. Now, there is one more stuff I have spoken about here. It's called a method with this particular parameter, which is var args parameter. I think I've given you an understanding var args in the last class or last class, where I was able to exactly run this particular program, and I was able to get the result of all the values that you are sending into this method. It will add them all and give you the final summation of all the numbers. How did I do that? I just used the var args parameter, which is kind of working as an array, and it will let you submit n number of parameters, and you can just simply use it as you wish. However, in the other case, you can see that you are kind of stuck with adding only two parameters, right? But in var args, that's not the situation. You can add one same type of parameter. Like here, you can see I'm just adding int, just int, all the ints, right? And I am simply getting a summation of all the ints I'm submitting there. That is what a parameter, I mean, a method looks like. And that's pretty much about it. Okay, there are a few more stuff that I have also added here, like public static over here as well. Static, static, static. Don't need to know about them right now. Okay, just concentrate on whatever I'm showing you. Also, there is another thing that is here, which is this guy. Sorry, which is this particular guy, void. What does it mean by that? What do you mean by that? Void? Void is nothing but this method is not returning back any information. You can see that here it is void, here it is void, but here it is int. What do I mean by that? Meaning, when I'm calling the method add two number by argument or just add two numbers, they are being performed in the same scope, obviously, and the result is kind of presented out of that particular method itself. So here you can see I'm just printing out, okay, the result. Here as well, I'm just printing out the result. But on the other hand, if you look at it, on the other hand, where I'm saying the return type is int, in this situation, I'm saying return result. Meaning what? Meaning whoever has called this method is having an option to get the result back like this. You can see I'm saying int sum equals return sum of all numbers. Now what will it do? It will calculate the sum of all the numbers and simply return back the result to the sum variable, and that's pretty much about it. Okay, so I just gave you the pointers. Number one, method without params. You can absolutely have that. Method with params. Method with var args param. Okay, and finally method that returns value. That's pretty much that I just covered here. Everybody is clear with that? Yes, no?
So like one quick question.
Go on.
So when we're returning the value in public static int return sum of all numbers, you're returning the value. So what we're trying to say is that it will collect the value stored in result variable. True. But it will only get printed when the system.out.println sum is plus sum is been executed.
Exactly. Very well said. That's exactly what it is.
But okay, so but why in system.plus sum and not plus results?
Because I'm not returning back anything from there. I mean, I'm just showing you how you can create different type of method which can perform different type of operation. So the last method I have created to show you that you can return a value, but the second last method I've shown you that you can print out the value just from the same method. That's it.
No, I get that, but is that a typo there that you've in your system.out.println?
Yeah.
Plus sum, or it should be plus result, because you've stored the result, the total sum of value in your result.
No. Okay, I got your question. Sorry. So here, all right, let me just quickly show you. So here I am putting the value inside the sum or the result. You can see.
Yeah.
Int result is a temporary variable. Int result is a temporary variable that I have created within this method. Correct?
Yeah.
This result variable is there to store the calculated sum. And that result I'm sending back using the return statement, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, over here, I'm kind of doing that entire thing in just one line. I don't need, I'm not depending on another temporary variable. I mean, if you want to do this, you can do it like this as well. You can say int int sum equals a plus b, and then you can say sysout sum. You can do that. The answers will be same, right? It's just the
Mhm.
different ways to write the same program.
Okay.
I can do it in one line, or I can break it down in multiple lines. Anyway.
Okay, so the result will only get printed when somebody calls this method.
That is true. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it will not display anywhere, but it will perform the operation. It will perform the addition of all the numbers
That is right.
once
Exactly.
we execute. Okay.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. So let's go on. All right. Now we are coming to the situation where we are learning, or we are starting to learn about OOPS concepts, object-oriented programming concepts, right? Principles, right? So what exactly is this? I have shown you so far that, let me open up my Paint actually. Paint. So we had a long discussion last week regarding the situation where I said, I have a class, some class saying students, and in the students we had some attributes, say name, say gender, say location, whatever. These are my attributes. We know that as about a students. And then I also said that I will use a main method. I have a class called as test students, and then I said that I can create multiple student instances, say Maria, okay, equals new students, right? I did tell you that you can create an instance of the students just like that with the help of new keyword, and you can say Maria dot name equals Maria. And what did I use here? I used a dot operator, just like here. I used a dot operator to access the variable name called Maria. I mean, variable name called name, right? I used the dot operator to access the variable name called name. Okay. Right now you understand that. Okay. Question. Shoaib, can you tell me what is the access specifier for these variables?
Default.
Awesome. Thank you. Right. So this is a default variable, perfectly fine, and I can easily access them as it is, right? Now, the point is, I just showed you one way of accessing. Now we are getting in a situation where we have to learn how to access elements or how to access members from one class to the other class. So you have just learned, so far you have just learned one option, that is create an instance and access with dot operator. That's what you have learned so far. Perfectly fine. Operator. That's what you have learned so far. But there are multiple different ways you can access the element from the other element. There are multiple different ways. That is what we will be learning slowly. We will go through each and every other situations. So the next thing that we are trying to learn here is called as inheritance. Okay. Again, a situation saying I have students. Now, the situation is little different, meaning I have name, I have gender, I have location as my default variables, perfectly fine. Now, instead of creating a student instance or a student object like students or students Maria equals new students, I can also perform another operation, meaning I can say that instead of creating a student's instance, why not, or I can also go ahead and create another class itself just for the student called Maria. If I want to do that, I can do it. Meaning, I can say, I have a student, which is a Maria. I mean, I'm looking for I'm creating a class. Let's say Maria. I'm creating a class called Maria. Right now, this is the situation. I have students class. In this, I have 3 default members, name, gender, location. Perfect. I have another class called as Maria. Okay. I'm not going ahead with this approach. I'm not going ahead with this approach. I'm saying I have Maria, a separate class, and I have student, which is kind of my blueprint. I know that. Now, Maria wants to have certain properties, which is very much local. Understand this concept very well. It's very, very important. For example, in the students class, I have a method saying start class. I have a method called start class. Good stuff. This is the situation. I have students inside that 3 different variables, default variables, and I have a method called start class. That's it. Now, Maria, on the other hand, is a student, is a class, not a student yet, it's a class. And Maria wants to become a student. Maria is a class. Right now, it's an empty class. There is nothing there. And it wants to become a student. And it wants to become a student because she wants to start the class, obviously, but she is also having another property to start dancing class. I hope you are getting my point. The point is, now we are getting to a situation where we are saying that Maria can have obviously the access to start the class, but there is also a possibility that Maria can have its own properties, which is out of students' common properties. Am I making sense? Maria will definitely have all these properties, but along with that, she wants to have her own property, which is start dancing class. Now, to make Maria as a student, we are using a concept called as inheritance. Inheritance. Meaning you are saying Maria, exactly this is what is happening. You're saying Maria is of type students. When you are creating the inheritance relationship between Maria and students, you are saying that Maria is of type students. How do you ideally achieve this in Java? You are achieving this in Java with a simple keyword called as extends. Meaning, you will say public class Maria extends students. right? Now, as soon as you do that, okay, what is the benefit? What is the benefit of this particular situation? Number one, I told you is that Maria can have her own properties, which is very much local to herself. Okay. Number two is that she will not have to redefine anything that is coming out of students. Meaning, she will not have to redefine again what is already existing as a part of students, meaning name, location, start class, all of this, guys, which are coming out of students. Maria will not have to redefine them. She can just concentrate on writing her own property saying start dancing class. Dancing class. I would love to give you guys a working demo on this so that it is absolutely crystal clear. I will take exactly the same location or the same example. Okay. What I'll do is I'll quickly go back to my code base. No, I'll create a new project actually. Java project. Week 3 midweek. Midweek class. A summary. Okay. Next, don't create, and that's it. Now, once I have this guy option, it's done. So I'll just quickly create a new package here. And I'll say test Java. Test Java. So finish. What I'm teaching here is inheritance. So let me save everything else, close all. And let's create the same example. So class. What class am I creating? I'm creating a class called students. Students. Right? As a part of students class, what am I doing? I'm creating methods. Not methods, sorry. Variables. So I'll say string name, string gender, string location. I created 3 of them. Perfectly fine. And I'm creating another method here, public void, and the method name is start class. As a part of start class, what I'll do, I'll say simple sysout, and I'll say name. I'll just say name plus gender plus location plus starting class, right? I have one more. I'll have one more here, public void end class, and just copy and paste this guy, right? Ending class. That's it. I have simple 2 methods. That's all, right? Now I can go ahead and new class and say Maria. I'm creating a new class called Maria. I can do that, no problem at all. And then I'm going to say that I want to make Maria is of type students. I'll say extends. The keyword is called extends. You're extending Maria to students. Now, as soon as you do that, I'm not putting anything here right now. I'm not putting anything here right now, okay? Let's try to test Maria. Java class test students. Okay, simple. You see, I'm not going to create an object of students class. Let me just add a main method here. Okay, I'm not going to create an object of students class here, but to show you how the inheritance is actually working, I am going to simply say that I'm creating an object of Maria. Maria equals new Maria. Just like that. I did that. Now I can say Maria dot name. Can you guys tell me how am I getting the name access? Name method or name variable is not even registered in the Maria class. It's not even registered in the Maria class, but still I am able to access it. How is that possible?
On the parent class.
Exactly. Because name variable is there in the parent class. So what he is saying here is that let me go back to the situation. What he's saying here is students is the parent class, Maria is the child class, and you are inheriting the properties of students to Maria. That is why inheritance concept comes into place. Right? Now, if I just go back to my program again, so Maria.name, obviously Maria.name, it doesn't really have any value like the data. So I give the value as Maria, perfectly fine. I can say Maria dot location, location equals Dublin, and Maria dot gender equals female. Perfectly fine. And now, not only that, not only the variables, I can also obviously access the method. So I'll say start class, and Maria dot end class. I hope you guys are able to see the different way of accessing the elements. Now what we are doing, if you are trying to understand the whole picture, whatever I'm trying to show you here is I have a students class, I have a Maria class, and I have a test students class. Right? Students class is being inherited by Maria. So I am really not creating an object of students class, rather I'm creating an object of Maria, just like that. Maria, and Maria, you saw that structure, right? And then you are able to access all the class members of students class from Maria. Right? Now, what is the benefit of this? Obviously, as you can see, if I run this program, it will work flawlessly. So run as Java application. You see, it will print out the starting class and ending class just like that, right? On the other hand, as I said, if Maria wants to have her own property, meaning public void start dancing class, right? Now this method start dancing class is a method which is very much local to the Maria class itself. So in this class as well, I will obviously will have the access to every other stuff that I have defined in the student class, because Maria is coming out of students class. So obviously I can go ahead and I can access these variables. You see, name, gender, location, everything is accessible to the Maria class as it is, because students is extended by Maria. That's why. Correct? Now, if that's the case, then I'm gonna say starting dancing class, starting dancing class, and then let's go ahead and test this in our situation. So I'll say Maria dot start dancing class. I can even access that. I am able to access all the methods of my parent. Also, I'm able to access all the methods of my child, I mean, of my own class. And if I run this, then it'll again do the job. Everybody is clear with this? Yes, no? Any questions? Shoot, please.
Souvik,
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
so now you've created an object for Maria,
Mhm.
but you can very well create an object for students as well in this program, in main program, right?
Absolutely. Here, the situation is different. Here, the
Yeah.
situation is that you want to create a situation where you want your objects to access all the methods which are a part of the blueprint class. Also, you want to create a situation where they can have specific privileges to access methods that are defined for themselves, right?
Yeah.
That's why, so in programming, there are multiple different features that I'm trying to explore. I'm trying to show it to you, that what are the
Mhm.
different features we have that we have to use in order to create all the frameworks and everything that we will be learning in future. All right.
But
Let's go.
as my question stands, we can still create an object for a student in main
Definitely.
class. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great.
The whole
Um,
concept, Civic, is whenever you're creating classes. So if you see an opportunity where something's going to be reused or could be reused, then you have to start thinking about that being in a parent class and then inheriting the values from there because you intend to reuse them. Is that the way you think?
I would not say that. I'll say if you are getting into a situation where you think that I will obviously reuse the components that are coming from my parent, but I will also have certain specific feature of myself, right? I want to definitely reuse my components that are coming from the blueprint, but along with that, I want to access something, or I want to access something that is specific to myself. Then you will go for this kind of situation where you will create inheritance like structure where you say, my child class is extending to the parent class. All the components of parent class I'm anyway accessing, but in the child class, I have certain specific stuff that I want to use as well. Is that clear?
Yeah, it makes sense. But what I'm saying is like, so say you're writing some sort of a method that does something, but you realize you're writing it within a class, but you know this is going to be used in different classes as well. Is it at that point that you would say, right, I'm going to create this in a separate class, and that would be a parent, and you'll inherit it into the class that you're currently writing, instead of writing it in that class, you'll instead go and create a parent class so that you can reuse it in whatever other classes you want.
You can say that. You can definitely say that. Yeah, this is one way of definitely presenting it, but you have to also understand that is right. I mean, I'm not arguing with that. It's absolutely right. You can say the child class will have direct access to all the methods that are there in the parent, and you're kind of reusing that. That's absolutely true. But then somebody can also come and argue that why can't I just simply create the object of my parent class that are holding all the methods, and then I am using them wherever I want to. So that's where I would argue, and I would say that here you are using inheritance because you obviously want to reuse the methods that are coming out of the parent, but on the other hand, you also give your own specific methods, right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. Everybody's
Oh,
yeah, go
just a
on.
quick one, yeah. So, I mean, I got that, but what I'm saying is when you inherit something, like I've got one mother, one father, right? So when they die, I inherit from them, right?
Mhm.
But Maria, she could be in a dance class, she could be in a mathematics class. So can she inherit from more than one class, or does she always only have one class that she can inherit from?
I'm just coming to the point right now. Okay, so there are some rules in terms of inheritance as well. Okay, for example, this is what exactly I'm trying to talk about in this diagram, right? You can see the structure that I just described right now a minute back. It's a single inheritance where I have students class and I have Maria, and I was able to extend Maria to the students. That's number one. Also, there could be a situation where I will go for a multi-level inheritance, meaning I have a students class and I have sorry, let me just go back. I have a students class, I have a super student class, and I have Maria. So the properties of super student is inherited to the student class, and eventually it is inherited to the Maria class. That is called multi-level inheritance. You can also get to a situation where you have two different subclasses, like you have Maria and Tom, and they are inheriting to one class, which is the student class. You can do all of these stuff. However, to your question, Kevin, where you're saying that you want to inherit from both of your parents, your mom and your dad, that is not what is possible with inheritance as of now. Okay, I mean it is possible with Java, but not with inheritance. We will use something called as interface later on, and that's where you will be able to understand how can you achieve this kind of a structure where you have parent number one, you have parent number two, and you have one child to inherit both the properties. That is what you can do it, but not with the help of inheritance as a concept, but we will use something called as interface later on to understand that situation. All right. But
Gotcha.
right now, whatever is available with respect to inheritance is these three structures, right?
Yes, lovely.
All right. So that's the inheritance situation. Now, why did I talk about inheritance right now? I spoke about inheritance so that I can quickly give you the understanding of another access specifier, which is called protected access specifier. Okay, so let me just quickly show you the situation. I am saying that in my program, I'm saying, let me create one more package, which is test Java 2, right? I created this package called test Java 2, perfectly fine. I have Maria, I have students. In the students, I have these default guys here, perfectly fine. So I am not going to make them default. I'm not going to make all of them default. I'm going to keep only the location as default. However, this one protected and this one as well protected. I'm going to make name and gender as protected access modifier. Perfectly fine. No problem at all. Now, the point is, all these three classes, Maria, students, and test students, they're all residing within test Java package. And obviously, Maria can access the variable name, gender, and location. Right now, you just saw name and gender. I have made them as protected. Location is still default. That's what the situation is. Now what I'll do is I will simply shift Maria from test Java package to test Java 2 package. If I do that, immediately I will get an error. What is the error? The error says very clearly that protected and gender, I mean, name and gender, who are having protected access specifier can be easily accessible from different other packages. No problem at all. However, location is a default access specifier variable. That guy cannot be accessed out of the package. I have already shown that to you earlier. I've shown that when you have a variable with default access specifier, you cannot access it out of the same package. But if there is a parent-child relationship in place, meaning I have a parent-child relationship between Maria and students, I have a parent-child relationship between Maria and students, and name and gender are having protected access specifier. So it doesn't matter whether they are in the same package or they are in a different package. I will still be able to access them. Is that understandable? That's how it is different. The question can be, what is the difference between default and protected? So that's how you have to reply them back. Is that making sense? Yes, no.
Yeah.
Everybody else, give me a
So,
shout.
Souvik, in this case, we can only access name and gender because it's protected. We can't access location.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Awesome, very good. Let's head back to the other situation. Okay, questions? Thank you. Great stuff. This piece is done. Let me go to the next one.
Can I ask one last question on that access specifier stuff, Souvik?
Please go on.
What's the general rule between protected and private for access specifiers? So should all class members always be private, or unless you are inheriting the class and then you make them protected?
That is right. You can, there could be a situation where there are certain variables, most of the variables you have kept it as private because they are holding some crucial information, that's fine. But you want to have one variable that you want to be accessible by a child class. And you can keep that variable as a protected variable. And only the child class can access it. So now you are kind of creating another rule that to access that variable out of that particular class, the second class should inherit to the parent class. So you can create a situation like this, right? Very simply. You can say, I have a class here. And in this class, you're saying, I have private members, private name, private, say, gender, whatever. However, you have created one variable which is protected, okay? And as a protected, you're saying salary, maybe. I'm just saying salary. And this is one of your class, which is your, say, employee class. And then you can have a situation where you're saying, okay, if I am an employee, meaning I have an employee called as Tom, and Tom is of type employee. So obviously I am inheriting from employee class. That's fine. So obviously I will not have direct access to name and gender. Maybe I will be able to access them through some constructor or whatsoever. I'll talk about constructor, don't get confused. But I'm telling you, right? You can put the value inside these variables later on. But for protected, to access the salary information, Tom can directly access it because salary is of type protected. So child of employee can easily access a protected element. Nobody else will have that access. So it means that if you want to access the salary, you have to be my child, as simple as that, right? That kind of rule you can now set. Is that making sense?
Yep. Yeah.
Good.
But when it comes to private members, Souvik, even the child will not be able to access the private things from the
nothing.
parent.
Private is only private to that class. That's it. Okay.
So protected actually can be viewed by more people. Yeah, so protected is less strong than private.
Yes, it can be only accessible by the child class, right?
Lovely.
Okay. Okay. So now that we have understood this, let me quickly go to the next one, which is class 9. As a part of this, what I was talking here is, okay, very important structure, that is constructor. Okay, it is very, very important that we have to understand. Now, let me just talk about constructor. Constructor is basically another class member that we add into the class. We have already seen variables, we have already seen methods. Now, constructor is another class member that we add into the class so that we can construct the object of the class with some default value or with some initial value. What do I mean by that? I'm going to take an example. I'll go back to my code, and we're still talking about Maria and whatsoever. Let me put Maria back to its own package. And what I'll do is I will go back to students, and rather than making it protected and default, I'll make everything as private. Private, private, private. As soon as I do that, obviously, I will get an error right there in two places. One is the Maria class. I will simply comment them out for now. And also the test students class, where I was able to access name, location, gender with the dot operator. Now it is not possible anymore because all of them are private. So I'm just putting them back to, I'm just commenting them back right now. So right now, my Maria class and my test student class is kind of in this situation where I'm creating an object of Maria and I'm saying start the class and end the class. Okay. Right at this moment, if I go ahead and if I execute the same program, what do I get? I get the result as null, null, null. Why is that? Because by default, Java will give the value of name, gender, and location as null. If you don't specify any value inside these variables, they will have the default value as null. And that is what is getting printed over here, because obviously start class and end class I called, and name, gender, location, everything got accessed, but they are having null value now. So this is something that we don't want, obviously. Now, constructor is basically coming to me now and saying, all right, I'm giving you a provision to instantiate the object when someone is instantiating the object of that particular class. They can instantiate the object with some initial state of that object. When I'm saying initial state, I mean the object with some values to work with, some initial state to work with. So how can I do it? That's where constructor is coming in place. So I'm saying, how do I write a constructor? There are some rules of writing a constructor. Constructor will have the same name of the class name. It looks like a method, but it's not a method, meaning you're going to say public, you're going to say students, look for look for the name of the class. The name of the class is exactly same as the class name. The name of the constructor is exactly same as the class name. This is my constructor. Right now, this guy is empty constructor. Okay. Always keep in mind, whether you explicitly create an empty constructor or not, every time, whenever you're creating an object of a class, like the way I'm showing you here, I'm saying Maria equals new Maria. When I'm creating that statement, it means calling an empty constructor. Okay, I am calling an empty constructor. If I'm creating an object of the class, I am pointing to an empty constructor. Empty constructor is kind of a hidden default constructor that is created for every class. You don't see that until and unless you tap into it using an empty constructor like this. I can prove that to you. Okay, meaning, so I'm just going to save this file right now. When I'm saving this file right now, and I'm saying sysout, this is an empty constructor, and I'll put a breakpoint in line number 11. Okay, now look closely. In my Maria class, right now, look at it. In my Maria class right now, I don't have any constructor defined. I don't have any constructor defined. Okay, in the students class, I have explicitly tapped the empty constructor. All right, I'm putting a breakpoint line number 11, and I will try to trigger my test or trigger my class. So I'll put a breakpoint line number 7 as well, and I'm going to say debug as Java application. So I'm now kind of pausing my execution in line number 7, and now I'll go and I'll say step into. So I'll just say like this, and what do I see? I see that I am landing into the student class empty constructor. However, if you look closely, Maria class, in Maria class, I don't have a constructor at all. Then how did I really landed into the student class empty constructor? How did that happen? It happened because, let me draw it. It happened because I have students class, perfect. I have Maria class, perfect. I know, or we know, the students is being extended by Maria. Totally fine. Students is being extended by Maria. Totally fine. In the I told you what? I told you every class is having an empty constructor, whether you explicitly access it or you don't access it. So in this case, in case of Maria, we are not accessing the default constructor. Okay. However, in student, we are accessing the constructor, right? We are accessing the default constructor. Now, what just happened here is when I am creating an object of Maria equals new Maria, when I'm saying that, what exactly happened? What exactly happened is we made a call to the Maria class constructor, even if it is not accessed by us, we made a call to the Maria class constructor, and Maria class is obviously extended by student class. And that's the reason why the constructor itself made a call. Come on. The constructor itself made a call to the student class empty constructor that I created there. That's the reason why I landed myself into the student class constructor. Everybody is kind of getting the situation. Why constructor is needed, I'll come to that in a minute. Okay, why it is needed, I'll talk to that in a minute. But for now, can you tell me that it is making sense? How the call just happened, is it making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I-
So now
I got most of it. The only thing I didn't get is why when you wrote that, why did you say Maria Maria? I mean, normally it's like string or something. You know what I'm saying? Why is it capital M Maria?
you mean this line?
Yeah, just where you were. So I got the idea of it going up.
No, wait a minute, Maria. Wait a minute, Kevin. Can you just tell me what am I doing here?
So before we used to like, why is that first Maria capital M? I mean, is it like string Maria? Like string is the type. So this is you've made the type Maria. Oh no, don't worry then. I'm not explaining in words. I get the aspect of the inheritance going up to student.
No,
The
leave
only thing
that. What am I doing here?
I actually did it up there as well. Look, so Maria equals new Maria.
What is this?
So you're instantiating an object. The object you're calling Maria. That's the object name. You're using you're creating a new Maria method. So this is instantiating of an object.
I'm instantiating Maria object, right?
Yes.
Any name over here, I can give Kevin here,
Tom. Yeah.
or whatever, right? I'm creating an object of Maria, right?
Oh, gotcha. Right. That's
Okay.
why it's capital M, yeah? It's
No, it's not capital M because of that. The name of the class is Maria, and that class name is Maria, so that's the reason why M is capital over there. This is the class I have.
right, okay.
All right. So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to make a call with the help of Maria equals new Maria, and then it goes to the student class constructor. That's number one. All right. Now, how is this whole constructor actually helping me? It is helping me to add in the values, meaning right now, this empty constructor is actually not doing anything. Right now, it is not doing anything, just printing me a simple statement just like this. This is an empty constructor, that's it. But if I want, I can use this empty constructor to set some default value for these variables. Let's try to do that. I can say name equals default, or say no name. No name. It is a, okay, understand this. Rather than displaying a null value, it's always better to display something that makes sense. Meaning, if I say name equals no name and gender equals no gender and location equals no location. Now, now in this situation, if I go ahead and trigger this program one more time, the same program one more time, what will happen is I will obviously land into the student's constructor as I showed you earlier. Now I am giving or I am adding certain default value to all these variables. So I say 1, 2, 3. Now all these variables are having some values at least. Now if I just go ahead and run this, you see I'm getting a better response than the previous one where it was null, null, null. If you and me will look into it, we will not exactly know what's going on with null. Now, at least in this situation, with constructor, you know that all right, the variable name, gender, and location, they don't actually have any value. So it is kind of printing with some default information. So in that situation, what we can do is we can go ahead and use, or we can create another constructor. Okay. Meaning this time, the constructor that I will be using, it will be a parameterized constructor, and it will let me set the value directly inside these variables. How? Just like that. So public students, and I say string name, string gender, string location, right? The plan is when I create the instance of students, the plan is I will directly do what? I will directly send the values when I create the instance of students, and I will pass on all the values inside the parameter, inside the constructor, and that's how the constructor will fill in the values inside these variables. So the plan is simple. I will say, let me just try to draw it and then implement it. So I'll just say Maria equals new Maria. And here I can give names. I can give name, that is Maria, that's the actual name. Then I can give the gender, female, and then I can give the location, Dublin. I can do that. No problem whatsoever. And now when I do that, what should happen? Instead of landing into this, meaning I will not be landing here, rather than I will be landing straight here, because I am passing on my parameters. It's exactly like the way method works. So I'll be landing into this constructor, and then within the constructor over here, I can say this dot name equals name, this dot gender equals gender, this dot location equals location. What exactly I mean by this, when I'm saying this as a keyword, this keyword means nothing, but it is pointing to the current object that is trying to access these variables or these members. Meaning this keyword is actually pointing to this particular instance or the object or the reference variable. So I'm saying that whatever the values I'm sending here in the constructor, I'm passing those values inside these variables. Okay, now let's try to do something. I will clear this drawing and I'll take you back to this particular class, test students. Okay, now in the test students, let's try to do this. Let's try to say we were using this default constructor, the empty constructor. Can I try to, because you know, Maria is extending to students. We know that. So can I right now say Maria, say female, say Dublin? Can I actually do this now? Because I've already added the constructor in the students. Can I do this now? No, I can't, because I'm getting an error. What is the error? Saying the constructor Maria string is undefined. Is undefined. What do you mean by that? Let's go back to Maria. In the Maria class, do I have a constructor? Do I have a constructor which is saying public Maria string name string gender string location? Do I have it? No, I don't have it. But why it is needed? You have to understand something in terms of inheritance. In inheritance, all these class members that are public or protected or default can be inherited to the child class. No problem. But that doesn't mean that you can also inherit a constructor to the child class. Constructors are not inherited to the child class. If I am, so the rule is simple. The rule is very simple. If I have a parameterized, this is only required for parameterized constructor. If I have a parameterized constructor in the parent class, then it must be defined in the child class as well. This rule is only there for constructors, parameterized constructors. You have seen that the methods that we have in the parent class can be accessible to the child class. No problem. But for parameterized constructor, if you are adding a parameterized constructor in the parent class, then you must be defining the same structure in the child class as well, like the way I'm defining now. So now what I will do? I will use, so the idea is from the child class constructor, I want to call the parent class constructor. From the child class constructor, I want to call the parent class constructor, and I will use a keyword here saying super keyword. Super, and then bracket. In the bracket, you say name, say gender, say location. Meaning, understand this very clearly. I have 3 sections here. I'm trying to make it very, very simple for you. Number 1, number 2, number 3. There are 3 sections here. In section 1, let's say we have test students class, where we are trying to perform all the complete operation. Okay. Number 2, we have Maria class. Number 3, I have students class. Simple. What did I say? I'm saying in the students class, if I have a parameterized constructor saying public students, and here I have parameters. I'm just giving, for example, I'm giving just one parameter saying string name. Okay. And the whole idea of constructor is what? To accept the data when you're creating the object of it and then pass it on to the variable. That's the main motive. So there is a variable already in the class called this.name, and you're just passing that variable with this value here. That's the whole requirement of constructor, as I told you. Now, as soon as you're creating a parameterized constructor in the parent class, immediately you have to create it in the child class, saying public Maria, and the Maria also, the Maria constructor should call the parent class constructor. Like how? Like this. Super, and the name. You can give the name directly, saying Maria as well. Now look at the situation. The situation that I'm explaining you here is little different than what I was explaining you in the example there, right? So here I'm not saying, let me just say, here I'm not saying public Maria string name. I'm not saying that. Look at this very carefully. And I'm not saying super name. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying this. What I'm saying is, I'm saying the same structure can be written another way. That way is to remove this parameter totally, all right, and give the name directly, like in this case, say Maria. Even this is a valid situation where when you say Maria equals new Maria, look at the situation now. Maria equals new Maria. So I'm having an empty constructor here. Just there. Just by doing this, just by writing one single line of code saying Maria equals new Maria, as soon as you say that, what will happen is you will immediately make a call to, you see this empty constructor? You're immediately making a call to the empty constructor of Maria, just like that. Within the Maria empty constructor, you have a call to your parent class constructor using super keyword. And then within the super keyword, you are mentioning the text as Maria because the super class, which is student, is having a constructor that accepts a parameter. Are you guys getting the connection? The parameter name is kind of hard-coded over here. And that value is then used to create the object of students, create the object of Maria with the value inside the name field as Maria. Am I making sense at all, or it is lost? I totally get the point. For some of you guys, it is confusing, and I have no problem to even give you more time for you to understand this. Are you not understanding this or not? Just give me a clear understanding, please. Is it making sense at all or not?
It is. I always find difficulty with understanding constructors, but you're explaining it very well. But I can see how other people will be confused.
I'm sorry. So you're saying that it is confusing, or
No, I've always had bother where understanding constructors.
yeah?
But you've explained it very well. But
Okay.
um,
Okay. Thank you.
I can see how it's going to be confusing because I've always had problems with these with getting
Sure.
this concept.
Yeah. So I really okay. Sure, if it's a little confusing, no problem. No problem. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. No problem at all. Okay. Let's go on again. Let's go back to the code. Okay. Let's see. I'm sticking to the same example. I have students class. Okay. In the students class, I have one empty constructor. This empty constructor will be called when you are creating an object just without any parameter, like this. Like this. When you're creating, now I'll have a problem, right? Yeah. Just a second. Yeah, there's another concept here which I wanted to cover up. Okay. Just a minute. What I'll do is I will add in public Maria. Okay. Sys out Maria empty constructor. Okay. All right. So what am I doing now? Here is that I have a constructor. I'm creating a simple object of Maria, which is created using an empty constructor in mind. I'm creating an object of Maria with an empty constructor in mind, meaning I am trying to create an object with some default values. So Maria as a class is having some variables. I mean, Maria is not having the variables. The superclass of Maria, which is students, it is having the variables. It is having all the variables to store the data, right? So I'm creating an object of Maria, perfectly fine. And I'm happy to create the object of Maria with some empty or with some default values, correct? Now with that, you can see, I'm saying with that, you see, if I'm just going ahead and execute my program just like this, I'm landing in line number 7. And then if I just go into it, I will land into the student class constructor, just like that. I'm landing into the student constructor just like that because I told you that Maria class is derived out of students class. So the constructor that I have created in the student class is being channelized to Maria constructor. And from there, I am trying to use it when I'm accessing it for test students, right? So you see that value got into the student class constructor just like that, and I am getting some, I'm giving some default values. And now, okay, did you see something? This is very interesting. Look at this. All right, look at this. I'm running this program one more time. Look at this. I'm right now at pause in line number 7. Maria equals new Maria. That's in the main method. That's it. Now I am making a call. You see something very clearly. In the Maria class, the empty constructor that I have is having a breakpoint in line number 6. Correct? Also, I'm putting a breakpoint in students class inside the students constructor in line number 11. Correct? Now, if I say resume, instead of landing into the Maria constructor, I am landing directly into the students constructor. Why is that? Can you tell me why is that? Let me just show you this guy, right? Why is that? Let me just take out the stuff. So what happened here is when I just called this method, when I just tried to create an object of Maria, what it did is it immediately looked for the class, which is Maria class. Okay. And then it found that Maria is extending to students class. It immediately found that because Maria is extending to students. Now in the Maria, when I'm creating the object of Maria, I'm using an empty constructor, and it immediately found that there is a student class, and the student class there is indeed a constructor which is with students and which is a empty students constructor. It immediately found that, and that's the reason why it landed into the student class constructor. Now if I clear my drawing and just show you the whole situation one more time, right now, if you just see here, I landed into the student class constructor. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going ahead 1 2 3, and if I'm just going and resuming, now you see I landed into the Maria constructor. You understand that? So first and foremost, obviously, as I said, the parent will be used and then the child is used. So that's the reason I got the values sorry, that is how the entire flow just happened from the test class to test students to the students constructor and then to the Maria class. Correct? And now if I just go ahead and finish it off, then you can see I have the Maria constructor printed out. But before that, obviously, these guys were also added, like no name and no gender and no location was also, it was also added because first and foremost, student class constructor, empty constructor got called. If you debug it, you will exactly know the chain of events that are taking place. And that's how you get to know what is going on. So this story that I just said is with respect to just the empty constructor, right? Now, I can have a class without tapping the entire empty constructor. I don't need the empty constructor to be explicitly used, meaning I can just take it out just like that, no problem at all. As well as from this section, I can take it out just like that. So now you're saying when you want to create an object of Maria, there is no need, or there is no way you can create an object of Maria with empty constructor. You have to create Maria with calling a parameterized constructor. So you're saying, because I've taken out all the empty constructor from the child class and from the students class, everything. Now I'm left out only to access my parameterized constructor. And now I say Maria, because that's the name I have to give. I have to give the gender as female, and I have to give the location as Dublin. So you just saw that I am creating the object of Maria with some initial values. So look at the situation one more time. I'm putting the breakpoint in line number 6. Okay, let's just trigger this and see what happened. I'm in line number 7. I'm running this. I'm landing into line number 6. You saw that this situation, the flow is different. In this situation, I didn't land into the student class directly. Because the data is now it's now flowing from the bottom layer to the top layer. In the earlier case, that was not the case. In the earlier case, I had explicit constructor, empty constructor, where I gave some default values. So those default values were carried on to the child class, right? You saw, let me draw it again to make things easy. So you saw that I had empty constructor, and in that situation, I had a students class, and the Maria class. And you see, in the students class, I was giving some default values. So now, in that situation, when I tried to create the object of Maria, it directly landed myself to the students class constructor, got the value right there, right from the students class itself, and then it was pulled into the Maria subclass. But in this situation, I am flowing the data from the lower level to the upper level. If I remove this drawing completely and take you back to my previous drawing and just try to go back to what I just did a minute, like here, right? So in this situation, what am I doing? I'm saying Maria equals new Maria, and I am specifying the values, all the values. So Maria, I'm saying female, I'm saying Dublin, I'm saying all of them, right? And then what it is doing, it is in the Maria class, it is calling the constructor Maria, which is a parameterized constructor. I'm taking some time here, guys, because I think this is something that you must totally get it, because otherwise you will not get the whole structure of how constructor idly works. So you can see that I have just passed on these 3 different values or 3 different parameters to to this constructor. And from here, I'm saying super, and then passing all the values here as well. Maria, female, and Dublin. So you can see how the data is actually channelized from lower level to the middleware or the Maria class. And from there, it will be then moved into the students class constructor, the one you are calling from the child class. That's how all these values will actually get set in name, gender, and location variable within students class. I need to understand if you guys are crystal clear about constructor. This is a very, very important concept, and you must understand it inside out.
See, like the whole point of constructors is forcing the user, whenever they're creating an instance of a class, to give that instantiate the class. So whenever you're thinking, I'm going to create a constructor, the whole point is that you want to force whoever's instantiating your class to give it initial variable values.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes, that's it.
So
but
we
you
don't
got to, but you got to really know, but that is absolutely right with that. But you got to know, you have to also understand how the constructor works in terms of parent-child relationship.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get it that it feeds into the child first, and it goes from the child into the variables that are in students.
That is correct. Yes, that is right. Yes.
And like we don't really have to really worry about default constructor because that exists. It's hidden. You were just showing that by putting the system print to show how it's there. You know.
Exactly.
I understand. But it is complex for someone.
The point is that, as you said, it's totally right. That is, we are using constructor because we are trying to create an instance with some initial values. You're using constructor to kind of get started with that class so that all the other class members can use those information that you are using in the constructor. You understand me?
Yeah. Saves you having to, after you create the instance, having to initialize it afterwards.
Yes, yes. I mean, think about it. You can even think of, like, for example, you can go very, very complex with this. I mean, you can even say that, all right, I have another class, say teacher class, new class teacher. I mean, I'm just making that up. I have a teacher class, all right, just like that. And teacher class is having private name teacher, private name, and then I say string name, and I say public teacher, okay, and I say name, string name, and then I say something like this dot name equals name. I can do that, no problem at all. And now that I have done that, now if I want, in the students class constructor, okay, you can say that you want to private teacher. Think about it. Private teacher. All right. And then in the students class constructor, you can even say the teacher equals new teacher. You understand me? And then you can give the name of the teacher. I'm saying probably you want to create a situation where you're saying this student is attached to a particular teacher. Something like that, right? So you're saying teacher equals new teacher, and you can give a teacher name like maybe Keith, right? That's the teacher. Or even better, what if I say that students is having name, gender, location, and comma string teacher name, and say teacher name goes in here as a parameter, just like that. And ideally, now what you do is you go back to Maria and you say location and say string teacher name string, or just say location, and then along with the location over here in the super, along with the location over here, you're saying Maria is always having a teacher called as Keith, right? So you can use the constructor to even construct another or to create another object of another class. You can use the constructor to construct anything that you need for other members of the same class. Is that clear to everyone, guys? Everyone says, okay. No, not yet. Guys, give me a shout, please, if you're not understanding this.
I think I'll have to listen to it a few more times. You know, when you send the recording,
Right.
I think I'll get it, because I think, as Keith says, I think you're explaining it very well. But for me, the penny's not dropping totally, but I get it kind of at a conceptual level. But I have to keep listening to it for it to really sort of sink in, as it were.
So Kevin, let me make something very clear to you. Listening to it is one part, but the second thing, if you really want to digest it end to end, you got to sit with your system and just go through the structure, meaning watch the video, obviously, and then try to recreate this, not with the same example. Try to recreate with the same with some other example. Try maybe car and Volkswagen relationship, or something of different sort that comes into your mind. But try to recreate this in your own terms, right? And that's where you will actually be able to digest it. But to make it very simple for everyone, as I said, as Keith said as well, we are using constructor for just one thing, that is to construct certain values, to give certain values to the attributes. As you see here in the students class, these are my attributes: name, gender, location. They are my attributes. If I need to somehow figure it out that when I am creating an object of the class, at the same time, I should be able to pass on some relevant information for these variables to hold on to, right? That is what constructor is helping me out with. Now I can have multiple different methods here that will be ready to use all these data that I got, that I use, that I just set, right? For example, this teacher variable or teacher object that I instantiate here can be used somewhere within the class. So you can say constructor is one entity that will help you to give an initial value for all your attributes of the class. That is what it means. Making sense? I think I have taken quite a lot of time to explain this structure, but I have no regrets because it is absolutely very, very crucial for you to understand this. Watch this video, watch the video that I've already given you in this class, and then try and recreate this. Okay. There are a few other things that I thought I'll be able to cover. I couldn't. No bother. Things like overloading. It's coming from method overloading or polymorphism. No bother. I'll talk about that during the weekend. That's fine. So method overloading, and then we have things like method overriding, runtime polymorphism. These are very, very crucial subjects, and I really want to explain them. I'll take some time to explain them, but yeah, we are slowly getting there. But you know what, guys, at the initial stage, I've seen some of the batches. For some of the batches, it takes a little time to kind of run through all these core concepts of object-oriented programming. But once you kind of get into that flow, once you understand this whole structure, when we get started with Selenium and all different Selenium methods and framework designing, things will be much more easier. So I want to really take it slow and give you guys the fundamentals properly, so that when I start designing the framework, it is absolutely crystal clear to every one of you, right? That's my motive. All right. So never mind. Let's come back in the next week. I mean, this week, 20th, and we can carry on from there on.
Thank you, Sobek.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a minute,
Thank you,
Sobek.
Souvik. Souvik, could you just send the link of the videos which you are saving from our sessions, from our classes?
Yeah, it is already there, meaning I think I have
For some
already.
reason, I'm unable to access the Google Drive.
All right. So we have everything here in Fab, and the sheet that you should be accessing is this sheet. All right. So let me actually just say share. I have already given this to you, but let me just do it one more time. And I'll just put it in the Slack.
Just thank you. Thank you, Souvik. It was interesting. With constructor, I think it will take a little bit of time to digest it, and then
Yeah.
should be
As
fine.
I said, just try to listen to it and then recreate it. Create 2-3 different classes, and then just try to see. I mean, first and foremost, just start with one single class with some constructor, and then try to create an object of that particular class and give some value using the constructor. That's number one. Second, try with the inheritance. Try to create a parent-child relationship, try to create a constructor in the superclass, and then try to access that superclass constructor from the child class constructor, right? That's how you will get to know. Okay. Listen to it and then practice. All right. If you have questions, come back to me.
Just thank
That's
you.
superb. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Keith, do you want me to? Oh, I think he left. All right. Sorry. I'll talk to him later. All right, guys. No problem.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Souvik. Bye bye.
Thank you.